Recently, all CICM schools now they have one dedicated election in terms of our mission. So, St. Louis University for one created an office. This is the Vice President for Vision.
What's that again, sir?
Vice President for Vision.
Vice President Commission.
That's the first
Also,
time I heard of
also
the
with,
position.
actually in the past, there is, we have an office related to our vision. This is the campus ministry, under the office of the parish. But now, CSM is really serious about this. So, 4 out of 6 schools of CICM, we now have the Vice President for mission.
So that means that your mission gets revisited all the time.
Yeah.
So what the change in terms of the transformation now, and specifically keen on the word transformation, did it just come this year, or was it for a long time there already, the mission officer?
The mission to transform was initiated way back in 2007. This was the tagline.
2007.
This was the tagline of Father Jess.
Um,
I think you're aware that all presidents will have the focus.
or transformation.
Father Gilbert's focus now, following mission of transform to continue this, is now more on leadership and missionary spirit. So tuloy-tuloy pa rin. The former president prior to Father Jess was actually the covenant of the heart.
Covenant.
It's the covenant of the hearts. And then from the covenant of the heart, now here come the mission to transform. While we are transforming the lives of our community or the people, we'll continue with leadership and missionaries. So yun ang in terms of
With relation to that, so you were talking about the CSR and the community.
Yeah.
How does SLU contribute to this in tangible ways?
Yes.
all the schools, together with the office of the director of extension. The focus of our programs are actually aligned with our vision. And in terms of the tangible outputs, if I have to, maybe I will talk about her school, Xavier School.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about
School of Engineering, we have a number of communities being assisted. Okay. One of the project we recognized in the city of Baguio, that was 3, 4, 5 years ago, was our air pollution. They did develop I forgot the
That's it.
we have a project
Ah.
para dun sa air, ayusin yung air, measurement.
Yeah.
Split air.
Yeah.
Most of the communities that the university is assisting is dito sa Cordillera. Depende kung anong school. Not secondary. Together with the this is on top of the academic work.
Yeah.
Kasi required kaming magkaroon ng extension.
it's part of the evaluation.
That's nice. That's nice to know. So aside from that's an academic requirement. You really need you ask them to make some innovations, right? That will help the community.
Yes.
Am I right? But do you also, of course, those are good innovations, like what you said, sir. You know, the air thing, the checking the air quality.
Air quality.
Did that group also had plans to like sell the
Commercial.
commercialize the?
I'm not sure of the arrangement with the local government. Pero I think it's already transferred to the local government.
So there's a partnership with the local government.
Okay.
I'm not sure. That was actually 4 or 5 years ago. That I'm away.
It's still sustained till now. That's cool.
Maybe to add to sir, we actually have also the support pollution, environment, and management audit committee
Yes,
Which is
yes.
also started during the time of Father Jess, and it's still continuing this time. One of the key things that we help communities with is also to give them the info drive. So definitely the academe is very much equipped with educational principles that will help them understand the environment. So one project, for example, is on the water quality. We are tied up with DENR and ENB. And this, for example, in terms of water, we have a problematic water source here, which is the Balili River.
Yes.
Balili River is a continuous system of our rivers. So our rivers, whatever happens to them, would flow down the Balili River in Trinidad, and that goes all the way to the lowlands. So we realized that if we don't do anything about this, the pollution of the rivers will continue on. So we had this kind of coalition engagement. Our university is actually tied up with it in La Trinidad, in Baguio, in City Hall, and DNR. So we continue with all the projects. We have been helping out in monitoring the water quality because of course we have the analysis here in the school. We give them the data. This is now a standing problem. And what do we do? Then we ask the community to act on, and then we go with them every time to monitor. Similarly with dengue, I think you are well aware that it's not on any trees. So it was one of the projects of the medical technology, biology group, having to monitor how dengue is spread in the communities. And we found out that it's because of know-how that they don't have yet. And so we did an education info drive again. And engineering was helping us come up with an instrument that would really entrap the larvae of this dengue mosquito. And we are suggesting that they're going to patent it and something else. But of course, we are still continuing with all of these extension services. So that's what we also do. And this lemma is not part of our academic training, or it's not even part of what administration is asking, but we feel we really have to do something about our environment. And of course, we will not deny the garbage generation is now becoming a problem. For example, DNR is saying sooner or later we will be issuing a writ of kalikasan for violating a good number of natural principles like deteriorating our solid and terrestrial areas. And so we are actually working on this. And in fact, we have also the celebrations to make the rights known to our students. And the students are yes. We only have to tell them, hey, this is the problem. And they come up with their own projects. In fact, today is also the opening of the landmark there in SABM, the other campus, and other campuses. So these are just, we might say, drives to help out in our community concern. Because we cannot afford to be, you're doing, it's a very good university, but you're not working.
You're still, well, your other schools, if you have active involvement in terms of the School of Engineering and the
Yes.
School of Natural Sciences.
Exactly.
How about the other schools?
Yeah.
You were saying
School of Education. How about School of Education?
That's the School of Teacher Education in
Yes.
terms of something that's really concrete.
Mhm.
We have the one and only Institute of Inclusive Education in the Philippines. It's actually an institute, it's a foundation, it's being helped out by the university, so there is money allotted for us to sustain the program. The office is actually at the Navy Base campus, and we are servicing a lot of students with special learning needs, not only in CAR but even in other regions. In the School of Teacher Education, and even with the social workers first volunteering to help the institute. So what do we do with the institute? There are a lot of innovations that are being done there. Like for example, we have this so-called development of instructional materials that are universal in design, something like that. So maybe if you are interested, you may visit the institute, because a lot of people are actually saying this is really very good. It's something really that we can really be very proud of, because like let's say for example, there are students who have problems with vision, low vision, or maybe who are legally blind. They can learn mathematics with, of course, with all the materials that we have there, and which was of course innovated by our math majors and by our science majors together with our director for the institute, because he's also very good in mathematics despite being of course brother during those early times. So that's an institute. Institute is a foundation. So what we do is to request, of course, for funding from the university, but even from CBM. CBM is Christian Blended Mission from Belgium, because so they do support the program. They've been providing braille machines, but now because braille machines are not anymore that in for many of our students, there are also screen readers that are being provided, so that our students with visual impairment may be accommodated in regular classes. So even in the School of Teacher Ed, we have a faculty who is legally blind, and it was because of that institute that of course facilitated all his academic achievements. Not only that, we also have our halfway home for boys, where many of our students, not only in the School of Teacher Education, are helping like nurses. It's actually intended for some boys,
Halfway boys yung mga
napabayaan mga bata.
those are cases.
So how
cases. And in addition, aside from the schools, the university has 3 foundations. Focusing on social contribution to the social development. One is we have the business, more on entrepreneurship. We have the extension institute for nursing. One is into health and medical allied sciences. That's the outreach division. And the other one is Sunflower Foundation. Together with the halfway. The Sunflower is more providing assistance to children yung may mga cases like abuse, technical cases.
Just one, we have a lot of questions. I'd like to cut this called the leadership and governance. Just one more question before I move to the second chapter. Ma'am, you mentioned patents. Do you have a specific office that will take care of the patent?
Under our research office.
Under the research office. Okay. So ma'am, we just finished the leadership and governance. I have to look at the time. So ma'am, the second set of questions will be the organizational capacity, people, and incentives.
My question is related to that.
Number
one, I would like to tell, I'm so enriched with what they're sharing. Indeed, your mission of the vision of becoming a missionary is reflected on what you're telling. So that's one. But you mentioned a while ago that you have foundations. That's so nice. And you get your funds from school.
From the university.
From the university.
Meron sa institute. For the Institute of Inclusive Education, well, because I'm a member of the BOT, not in ISEF, just in case because they would like to sustain. So there were times when the university started with giving at least an initial millions in order for them to sustain the projects, because we need to give salaries also to the to the workers, to the educators
Yes.
going to the different fields to identify students with visual impairment because there is a need to access to them. So there is an amount being given by the university for the Institute of Inclusive Education, but not for
I said.
ISEF, that for
Yes.
So
entrepreneurial.
where do you get the funding?
It's from, we have a project and our marketing arm is actually the source of the funding. So,
What is this one? Can you explain?
ISEF has the beekeeping project. It's the production of honey.
Yes, sir.
But that is not the main hub of the institute, but it's more on transferring technical knowledge and technology expertise to our community. So we'd like to go into honey production. And most of our graduates are already there abroad. And our institute is recognized as a training institute. So doon kinukuha yung funding. St. Louis University is providing some support, but not financial support.
So, you say, for instance, of course, you have projects that you want to implement here in your school. Do you just depend on the tuition fees of your students, or you have external
Diversified sources
diversified
of funds.
sources
For the
of funds?
foundation?
On a macro
And on
level.
maintaining the
Like
It
the
is
university
answered
way.
by the finance.
On the finance.
Basically, sir, do you have an idea if it just depends on the tuition of your students, or you
I think
have, like-
majority of our funding comes from the tuition.
Okay, thank you so much.
But there are projects not related to academics but are supported by external. I am quite aware that way back under Father Paul, the construction of all these buildings are not coming from tuition fee. It was coming from the initiative of the past president, and we call parang tawag nila ito, Friends of Belgium. So we
Yeah, because
Friends of
CICM is
Belgian.
Belgian.
Because the priests are Belgians.
Belgian
How about for
shares.
the local government?
Yes.
Like, it seems to me there's a tie-up somehow in terms of the innovations, like the project with the engineering, your engineering students. Do they support you in any way?
Yes,
in
local
terms of
government.
those?
Not aware, but I have not heard that there is
A link.
a financial support coming from this, because we have our own funding for research.
Oh, okay.
What about alumni support?
We have an office of the Alumni Foundation, and we have an alumni affairs officer. So there is actually a need. And regularly, annually, we have the reunion, mga ang tawag
Homecoming.
Homecoming, yeah.
So
So in terms of projects for students and service, especially in innovation, do they assist in any way financially?
Financial, I'm aware of the School of Accountancy and Business and Management because we have the alumni group.
Yes.
Sector din kami.
Yeah, yeah,
sector
yeah.
din. So they're providing, in fact, for the last how many years, I'm not sure now kung meron, but they have scholarship through scholarship.
That's
the students.
In fact, in terms of alumni, all schools again have our local chapters. And then all local chapter representatives are the ones who would make up the board in our foundation, the Alumni Foundation. So our own local chapters have their access to our alumni, and these are the ones who would manage their own resources. So we have our own, for example, supporting scholars in each of our schools. For instance, MedTech, or medical technology, while our alumni provides really a slot for a scholarship. There are external people who would say, hey, here are some funds for people who are in need. And so we give them again to our students who are in need. So scholarship is one of those that we handle. There is also loans given by our alumni to faculty or even parents who were one time members of same duties and having a hard time letting their children finish school. So they loan and pay as able.
It's a group. It's just a group or just the personally they can any people they can just like you said the parents or the faculty they can also
Yes.
this office for them.
Yeah, they go to our alumni office.
Alumni
We have
office.
an office
Oh, okay.
Okay.
in
This
CCA.
that's very impressive. Like
Mhm.
with the minutes that we're talking, like all the projects you are telling us, like I'm impressed personally. But with that note, that means to say you have to have proactive people.
Yes.
So my question would lead to that. Like,
Yeah.
what's your major criteria in hiring those
Yes.
proactive members of your university? Like, what's your major criteria for getting one?
For the alumni office.
Like a faculty, perhaps.
For our faculty. Of course, we look into their credentials and we take into consideration academic performance and a little bit of their community involvement during interviews. And when we have them, we have this SOP that they would have to demonstrate in front of us. If they're going to be faculty or if they're going to be technicians in the laboratory, we see into their skills. So that is how we first screen them out. And then during employment, we have evaluations, which are very periodic, and we use this as our basis of having to maintain them and so on. That's the major criteria.
Yes, ma'am. To what extent, yeah, these are actually great criteria. But for the community involvement, to what extent do you check on that criteria?
In fact, every semester, all our projects have to have a terminal report, especially now our extension. We're not saying that 100% we have the reports. Sometimes it's very difficult to follow it up. But they really come up with terminal reports at the end of an extension phase. So for example, we have 3 phases. So phase 1, if it's done, it has to have already a terminal report, and we have to look into what good has it done. Do we still go for the second phase or third? So when it is successful, we go through the second and third phases. But if it needs some realignments, then we also have to realign them, maybe let them stay for a while with all the different experts of the field coming to help us and say, maybe it should be done like this.
If I may, maybe a good point to know is there are mechanisms to ensure that our faculty members as well as the non-teaching staff go into community. And this is manifested in our performance evaluation. For faculty, it's required. For non-teaching, it's a bonus. It's a bonus point for them. So there are mechanisms.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, in the initial ranking of applicants, there is this portion when we do interview them at the dean's office of what exactly did they do in the past with the other institutions they've been serving. So there is a point also allotted for extension or research that they did prior to. So it's part of their initial ranking.
So extension and research.
Yeah, for the applicant. So aside from the demonstration that was mentioned by ma'am. So aside from during the application and during the time when they are with us for the retention, if we are to recommend them for the following semester, it's an embedded part of their evaluation.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
There was a mention of staff, like the non-teaching personnel of the university. Like, for them, like, what do you have certain programs that you think you have to strengthen the staff? Like you made mention of the alignment of certain people. Like, do you have those mechanisms, or you have those concrete structures in place to actually develop the capacity of the staff?
Maybe first in personal developments, especially in spiritual aspect, we have our yearly recollections. is always a must. And that is intended to, again, revisit their personality, if I may say, but at the same time also trying to um, revisit how they are also being part of our CICM. That's for our recollections. But aside from this, we also encourage the members to go for the so-called seminars and trainings. So there are some good trainings that are going to be aligned with their job. For example, if they are the researchers in the natural science research unit and they be training for maintenance or the management of, let us say, the different materials they are taking for trainings. Same is true with faculty and all the staff. We encourage them to go for continuous training so they are also updated.
Dr. Erdogan, being head of the planning, is it this part of the long-term program for the sustainability of education here in the
Yeah. I think it's really manifested in our strategic plan. May I add something about on an overall perspective, we have these structures or mechanisms in place to ensure the proper development of the people of the university. One, we have the family welfare program. It's in place. We have the athletics and wellness fitness center for the physical. For the medical, we have one under the medical. And then for the teaching, we have the faculty development program. Per school, they are required. And for the non-teaching, the human resource development office is in charge of the staff development. And this is one way of ensuring the sustainability of the institution as far as people are concerned.
But I'd like to ask you, there's a lot of incentives you have for your faculty to develop. Too much. But in terms of financial incentives, are there financial? More
In fact,
financial.
we have not just, I do not want to raise our fist. But our incentive, financial incentive is more than what the law requires.
For additional research and
For research, you might be, for example, our budget for research is open.
open
No budget. So depending on your proposals, what are the incentives? If you're going to publish it in an A1 journal, then you have how much? 50 or 100? 50,000. If it is local, we have incentives for publication. It's 50, 40, 25, 10 per 50. And on top of the support given to faculty is going to research, local or international. The way I will, personally, I would say that the institution has so many incentives. But of course, the problem is not all people have the same passion for it.
Yes,
definitely.
even if there are.
You would have.
Definitely.
So how do you motivate them?
Yes.
We have already put in place some mechanisms and some aligned with our curriculum. For example, all faculty members in our School of Accountants and Business, we always have research. You know why? Because we realigned our curriculum in such a way that we are now into promotership. Meaning, we don't have research classes, but our research class is under, and all the
All the schools.
All the schools.
All the schools.
all schools. We have the undergraduate research coordinator. And this undergraduate research coordinator will now will handle all the student researchers in a meeting, but they are involved in a class, different classes. And after the orientation, based on our research agenda, we will ask our students what topic you are interested in, and then we will look for your promoter. So all, in fact, the problem now with us is we have limited faculty members.